The morning the steel bollards went up, every driveway in Briar Glen froze at once. Vivian Pike stood barefoot on her brick walk, shouting that the quiet black man in the dusty work boots had gone too far. But 2 weeks earlier, while he was on his honeymoon, her HOA crew had built a stone wall across land that was never theirs, and laughed when his wife cried beside it. Why did nobody check the deed? Why did the county inspector suddenly stop answering calls? And why did the man they mocked as a hired hand carry a sealed folder that could shut down the entire neighborhood? By sunset, the wall was only the beginning. The padlock snapped shut with a hard metallic bite, and the sound ran down Briar Glen Drive like a dropped tray. Marcus Reed stepped back from the steel bollard. Fog clung to boxwoods. 3 SUVs idled in a crooked line, exhaust warming cold spring air. "You touch that lock again, I'm calling every lawyer in Asheville," Vivian Pike shouted. "You already called one," Marcus said. Vivian stood barefoot on her brick walk. "This is an HOA roadway." "No." Marcus unfolded a page from a plastic sleeve. "Private access strip. Conditional use. The condition was broken." A man leaned from his SUV. "I have a surgery consult." "Then ask her for the agreement." No one did. The lock tapped once in the wind. Officer Lena Ortiz arrived at 6:52 a.m., blue lights sliding over wet pavement. She was 34, notebook open. "Who placed these?" "He did," Vivian snapped. "He blocked a neighborhood over a landscaping dispute." Ortiz turned. "Sir?" "Marcus Reed, Lot 14B. Removable bollards on my recorded property interest. Nobody is trapped. Westgate stays open." Vivian laughed. "He printed something online and thinks he owns the street." Behind her, Grace Holloway opened her door halfway, gray cardigan tight. Her eyes moved to the pale stone wall across Marcus's side yard. Ortiz asked Vivian, "Do you have a court order?" "We are the HOA." "That isn't what I asked." Martin Vale arrived. "Nobody remove anything," he said. "No one should escalate." Marcus looked at him. "Good morning, Mr. Vale." Martin lowered his phone. "Mr. Reed, this is disproportionate." "Building a wall on my land while I was away was disproportionate." Vivian's mouth tightened. "That wall corrected an eyesore. It buried my survey stake. It improved a boundary. It crossed one." The street seemed to shrink. Tessa Bloom lifted her phone but kept it low. The sprinklers clicked off, leaving only cooling engines. Ortiz crouched beside the bollard. Her thumb traced the laminated notice and the county recording number. "Who drafted this?" she asked. "I did." "Self-serving," Vivian said. "It cites a recorded instrument," Ortiz said. Martin's face changed. His eyes went to the number, then to Vivian's bare feet on wet brick. "Martin?" Vivian said. He did not answer. Marcus heard Alina, the scrape of their front door, the whisper of her zipper. She stood at the porch rail, arms folded, looking past everyone to the wall. The broken garden sign was inside, drying on a towel by the sink. Vivian pointed toward her. "Your wife was told this would be handled if she stopped making emotional calls." Marcus looked down at the fresh scratch where the shackle had scraped steel. Ortiz said, "Mrs. Pike, step back. I will not be ordered around on my own street. This street is now in question." Grace stepped onto her porch. "Vivian, why was the wall built while they were gone?" Vivian turned. "You don't understand the history." Marcus placed the plastic sleeve on Ortiz's patrol car. "Nobody here read the history." Martin's phone rang. He let it buzz until it stopped. Then Ortiz pointed to the recording number and asked the question Vivian had not prepared for. "Mr. Reed, what exactly is under every driveway on this side of Briar Glen?" The suitcase wheel caught in wet grass at 11:18 p.m., and Alina almost laughed before she saw where the porch light ended. "Marcus," she said. He stood behind her with a bag from the airport deli. Across the side yard, a pale stone wall cut the darkness in half. Only the cicadas made noise. The air smelled of rain, mortar dust, and cold fries. "That wasn't here," Alina whispered. Marcus set the bag on the hood. "Stay by the car." "No." Her white sneakers sank into the grass. "That's our garden line." The wall stood waist-high, clean and new. A small wooden sign lay under one corner, crushed into the mud. Alina pulled until the wood split in her hands. Marcus knelt. "Careful." "My dad made this." Her thumb moved over the faded letters. "Reed Garden, soon." The word soon had cracked down the middle. A porch light flicked on across the street. Marcus called the HOA number on Vivian Pike's welcome packet. A woman answered on the fourth ring. "Briar Glen Association." "This is Marcus Reed, Lot 14B. Someone built a wall across my property while we were away." Paper rustled. "Mrs. Pike is aware of the improvement." "Improvement?" "The board authorized landscaping along the northern edge. You received notice." "We received no notice. It was mailed. We were on our honeymoon." "That does not pause community standards." Marcus closed his eyes. "Put Vivian on." The line clicked. Vivian's voice arrived sharp. "Marcus, it is nearly midnight. There is a wall on my land. There is a wall where the neighborhood needed one. You sent workers while we were gone. We corrected an issue before it became uglier." Alina held the broken sign to her coat. "Ask her about the survey." Marcus did. Vivian exhaled. "Your survey flags confused the crew. The HOA map is clear. I want the permit, board vote, contractor order, and boundary document by morning. You'll receive what our attorney considers appropriate. Rules keep Briar Glen beautiful. Rules matter more than feelings." Alina's fingers tightened around the sign. Marcus lowered his voice. "That was her father's." "What was?" "The marker your crew buried." Another porch curtain shifted. Somewhere a dog barked twice, then stopped. Vivian said, "Emotional attachments do not override recorded community authority." Marcus watched water gather on the top stone. "Recorded where?" "Good night, Marcus." The call ended. Alina stared at the black phone screen. She hung up. She needed to. Why? Because she doesn't have the answer. The airport tag on their suitcase knocked softly against the handle, a paper flutter turning damp. "I bought lavender seeds," she said, "at that shop near the beach." "I know. I was going to plant them here." Marcus looked from the sign to the wall. A porch across the street went dark. He rolled the suitcase toward the house. The wheel jammed in the soft grass. This time, he lifted it. Inside, the house smelled of new paint and unopened boxes. Alina set the broken sign on a kitchen towel. Marcus opened the bottom drawer, removed the deed packet, and laid it beside the dripping wood. "What are you going to do?" she asked. He aligned the first page with the table's edge. "Read what they should have read." At 8:07 a.m., Marcus placed the deed packet in a canvas folder and stepped onto the sidewalk. Briar Glen looked polished. White mailboxes stood in rows. A sign read, "Welcome home," though the words did not feel meant for him. Alina stayed on the porch, her mug cooling between both hands. "You don't have to go alone." "I'm asking for paper," he said. Grace Holloway clipped one rose across the street and pretended not to watch. Vivian Pike waited beside the clubhouse patio at 9 sharp, pearl bracelet bright on her wrist. A white porcelain cup sat beside a thick HOA folder. "Marcus," she said without standing. I hoped sleep would help you see this reasonably. I'd like the authorization for the wall. The board maintains neighborhood aesthetics. That isn't authorization. It is a duty. It was built on my side yard. Vivian tilted her head for the jogger near the hedge. Your perception of the side yard is the problem. Briar Glen has standards. I understand boundaries. The drop of coffee on the edge of her cup trembled. Then you understand why one owner's feelings cannot disrupt everyone. The clubhouse door opened. Elliot Marsh, 61, HOA treasurer, stepped out with reading glasses on a cord and a tablet. Vivian, the invoice came through, he said, then saw Marcus. Oh, the new fellow on 14. Marcus Reed. We came home to a wall. People add walls. Not on someone else's land? Vivian's bracelet clicked. Elliot, Marcus is requesting documents through proper channels. Marcus slid out a deed map. Then start here. Vote, permit, survey, contractor order. Elliot leaned down. That looks old. Recorded maps often are. Vivian pushed the paper away with 2 fingers. Use the approved form. The portal rejected our account last night. That happens when closing documents are incomplete. Our closing was recorded. Then be patient. A woman in a yellow rain jacket paused on the patio steps, parcel against her hip. Tessa Bloom, the renter near the north gate, lowered her sunglasses. Alina came down the walk carrying the broken garden sign wrapped in a towel. Vivian's mouth tightened. There is no need for props. It isn't a prop, Alina said. My father carved this before he died. She unwrapped the split wood. Your crew buried it under stone. Elliot looked toward the parking lot. Vivian softened her voice, not her face. Mrs. Reed, the association cannot preserve every object near a common line. Not common, Marcus said. Tessa shifted. The parcel scraped her zipper. Was there a survey before construction? Vivian turned. Excuse me? I saw the trucks Monday. I just wondered. Board matters are not sidewalk entertainment. Tessa stepped back, but did not leave. Marcus gathered the map. I'll send the request by certified mail today. Vivian rose. While you wait, you will not disturb that wall. I won't touch it. Good. I don't need to. Elliot looked directly at him. What does that mean? Marcus covered the broken sign again. It means walls are only one kind of boundary. Vivian's cup rattled. The coffee drops slipped, leaving a brown line down the white porcelain. Behind them, Tessa lifted her phone, not quite high enough to be seen. By 2:36 p.m., the wall had gone pale in the heat, each stone smelling of dust and wet cement. Brock Ellis arrived in a pickup with ladders strapped over the cab. He was 42, sunburned at the cheeks, with a pencil behind one ear. You read. Marcus Reed. Marcus stood beside the wall with a tape measure on his belt. Alina knelt in the grass. HOA said you had questions, Brock said. Permit. Boundary drawing. Work order. Survey. Brock laughed. You always talk like a courthouse? When somebody builds on my land, yes? This was a board job. Brock slapped the stone. That strip looked rough. Who marked the line? Mrs. Pike walked it with me. With a surveyor? With a map. What kind? HOA map. Marcus waited. Brock pulled a clipboard from his truck. Someone had typed decorative boundary wall, north common edge. No permit number. No survey attachment. This says decorative, Marcus said. It blocks a recorded strip. I put up stone. I don't argue strips. You excavated past the stake line. What stake line? Alina lifted something from the grass. This one. The broken survey stake lay across her palm, orange paint staining her fingers. She rubbed it with her thumb, and it smeared across her skin. Brock stopped chewing. "That was under the backfill," she said. "Could be old." "It was standing when we left." Marcus lined the stake against the wall footing. "Did your crew remove markers?" "No." "Did Vivian ask you to?" "No." The answer came too fast. Grace Holloway had come out for her mail, but the mailbox door stayed open in her hand. Brock noticed her. "Afternoon, Mrs. Holloway." Grace did not answer him. "They came Monday morning. They parked across my drive. No cones, no county truck." Her voice thinned. "I asked if the Reeds knew." Alina rose. "What did they say?" Grace swallowed. "One man said, 'They're out of town. That's why we're doing it now.'" Marcus folded the invoice. "Who said that?" "I don't know his name." Grace's fingers tightened on the mail. "He had a red cooler." Brock turned toward his pickup. A red cooler sat on the floor. The contractor tapped his pencil against the clipboard. Tap, tap, tap. "Mrs. Pike wanted it finished before the weekend," he muttered. "Before we came home," Marcus said. "She said you'd been warned." "By who?" "Her. The board. I don't know." "Did you see a permit?" "She told me the association had authority." Marcus handed back the invoice. "Authority is not a boundary." Brock's face hardened. "Look, man, I bid a wall. I didn't steal your yard." Alina held up her stained fingers. "Then who buried this?" Wind moved through the hedges. A sprinkler coughed, then caught. Brock looked at the orange paint. His voice dropped. "I can email the order." "Today," Marcus said. Brock climbed into the pickup and drove off without fastening the ladder strap. It clanged all the way to the gate. Grace finally closed her mailbox. "I should have told you Monday." "You are telling us now," Marcus said. Alina pressed her fingers onto a clean page in Marcus's folder, leaving 4 orange marks beside the old deed line. At the bottom of Brock's invoice, Marcus had seen Vivian's neat handwriting. "Finish while owners are away." The clubhouse smelled of lemon cleaner and old coffee when Marcus opened the door at 7:01 p.m. Vivian Pike sat beneath the Briar Glen mission statement, pearl bracelet bright against agendas. Grace held her purse in the back row. Tessa Bloom leaned by the wall, phone low in her yellow jacket. Alina touched Marcus's sleeve. They invited the whole block. They wanted an audience. Vivian tapped the microphone. A thin squeal cut through the room. "This emergency meeting concerns accusations against common property." A man whispered, "Is this about the wall?" "It is about safety," Vivian said. "Order. Property values." Marcus stayed standing. "I asked for construction records." "You demanded them." "After a wall appeared on my land." "Alleged land?" Martin Vale sat to her right. "The association believes it acted within its authority." "Based on what?" "Documents available to the board." "Which documents?" Vivian cut in. "This is not a deposition." "No, it's my yard." Vivian lifted a page. "Resistance to improvements can expose members to cost." "You created the cost." "You're creating uncertainty." "You created a wall." "Because your side area was neglected." Alina stood. There were marked stakes. Vivian's eyes flicked to the towel. "Mrs. Reed, sit. This is emotional enough." The room changed. Marcus laid the deed map on the board table. "Recorded plat. Lot 14B. This line is not the association's edge." Martin leaned forward. Vivian placed 2 fingers on the page and pushed it away. "Submit that through the portal." "The portal rejected us." "Then correct your paperwork." "Our paperwork is recorded with the county." The map slid over the polished table, dropped from the edge, and landed face up between Vivian's shoes and Marcus's boots. Nobody reached for it. The air conditioner clicked on. Alina bent first. "No," Marcus said softly. Her hand stopped inches from the paper. Vivian's bracelet clicked. "Are we finished with the performance?" Grace's purse zipper rasped open. She pulled out a folded envelope, then pressed it under both palms. Martin cleared his throat. "Vivian, perhaps we should receive the document." "We have reviewed enough," Vivian said. "This neighborhood will not be held hostage by a new owner who refuses community standards." A man murmured, "He's only asking for the permit." "If every resident weaponized paperwork," Vivian said, "we would have chaos." Marcus picked up the map. A footprint marked the corner where the access strip began. Martin watched. "If you change any drive lane, the board will respond." "I haven't changed one." "Do not test the association." "Then don't confuse the association with the law." Vivian stood. "Motion to affirm the wall as approved pending review." Elliot raised his hand too quickly. Denise hesitated before raising hers. Martin did not vote, but he did not object. "Carried," Vivian said. Marcus turned toward the door. Alina held the broken garden sign against her coat. Grace whispered, "Marcus." He stopped. She looked at Vivian, then at the floor. "I saw the trucks Monday." Vivian snapped, "This meeting is adjourned." The gavel struck once, but Tessa's phone was already recording the hallway beyond the open door. The hallway outside the clubhouse held the gavel's echo longer than anyone expected. Tessa Bloom kept her phone against her thigh, thumb locked over the red recording dot. The air smelled of lemon cleaner and wet wool. Chairs scraped as neighbors escaped, pretending not to see Marcus fold the deed map with a muddy footprint on one corner. "Mrs. Reed," Vivian called, "please don't leave thinking anyone wished you harm." Alina stopped by the bulletin board. The broken garden sign rested against her coat. "You built over my father's work." The board built a wall. "While we were gone. For everyone's benefit." Marcus touched Alina's elbow. "Come on." Elliot Marsh moved close to Vivian. "That got rough?" "It got necessary," Vivian said. Tessa should have walked away. Her lease renewal needed HOA approval. Elliot said, "The new owner isn't backing down." Vivian's pearls clicked. "He is not the type of resident we planned around when we cleaned up that entrance." "Vivian?" "What?" "We saw the work boots. The truck. The way he stood there measuring every blade of grass. He might have someone advising him. He has a wife with a sad little sign and a folder. That's not counsel." Tessa's thumb slipped. The phone screen brightened against her leg. Denise Carver came out with the minute book. "People are still near the lobby." "Then close the door." "I haven't uploaded the vote yet." "Do it tonight. Make it clean." "Clean how?" "Approved after review. Not rushed." Martin Vale emerged last. "Don't rewrite the timing." Vivian's smile vanished. "Then you should have found the permit before tonight. I warned you not to rely on Brock's sketch. And I warned you owners like him turn one rough patch into a crusade." Marcus knew who was afraid and who was careless, but not enough to use. He walked to the porch, where night air cooled the sweat at his collar. Alina followed. "You heard?" "Yes." "Are you angry?" He slipped the footprinted map inside the folder, not in a useful way. From inside, Vivian said, "If he wants paperwork, bury him in it." Tessa flinched. Her phone captured the words, Elliot's cough, Martin's silence. Marcus looked down before closing the folder. Under the footprint, a faded line ran beyond Lot 14B, marked Utility Access Reserve, North Spine. He rubbed mud from the words. Alina leaned closer. What is that? I need the original plat. From closing? Older. The clubhouse door opened. Tessa stepped out, face pale beneath damp bangs. Mr. Reed? She said too quickly. Vivian's voice followed. Tessa? Were you waiting for someone? Tessa froze. The phone was still in her hand. Marcus closed his folder. She was asking about the portal. At this hour? Tessa swallowed. Mine keeps timing out too. Vivian studied her. Send a help request. I will. When Vivian went back in, Marcus did not ask for the recording. He only looked at the phone, then at the lease envelope beneath Tessa's arm. You don't owe me anything, he said. Tessa blinked hard. That's the problem. She walked toward the renter lot, finger hovering over the delete button. Behind Marcus, the clubhouse lights clicked off one by one, except for Vivian's office, where paper slid through the copier. At 8:43 a.m., the county records office smelled of toner, damp coats, and burnt coffee. Marcus took a number from the red dispenser. C42. The screen above building compliance glowed C38. Alina held the deed folder. You slept 3 hours. 4. You read maps for 4. I need the original plat and wall permit. And if they say no? Then I ask why. A baby chewed a plastic ring near a flood zone poster. Every few minutes, the speaker popped and a number appeared with a dull chime. C41. Marcus stood too early. Alina touched his wrist. Not yet. A clerk turned her sign to next station, please. The screen flashed C42 once, faded, and disappeared. No, Alina whispered. Marcus stepped to the glass. Excuse me, that was my number. The clerk looked up. Silver hair, square glasses, badge readin' Mara Finch. It timed out. I was standing here. You'll need a new number. Mara, I'm requesting records tied to an unpermitted wall on Lot 14B in Briar, Glen. Her fingers stopped. Briar, Glen? Yes. Association files require review. Public permits don't. They do when a complaint is pending. I haven't filed a complaint. That may be the problem. Paper edges whispered as Alina tightened her grip. Marcus asked, Who signed the repair classification? Mara glanced toward a closed office. Dean Sutter handled it. I'd like to speak with him. He's out. When will he return? I don't have his schedule. Submit Form 19-B, Mara said. Processing is 10 business days. The wall was built in 1. That isn't a records issue. It is if the record made it possible. Her mouth tightened. Sir, I can't release active notes. Are there active notes? She looked at him half a second too long. Alina saw it. Marcus. He removed his hands from the counter. I need the permit index. Mara slid a blank form through the slot. Parcel number. Contact information. You'll be notified. By who? Compliance. A door opened behind her. A broad man in a gray county polo stepped out with a paper cup. He stopped when he saw Marcus. Mara turned. Dean? The man checked the clock. I'm late for inspection. Marcus said, Mr. Sutter, I'm Marcus Reed. Dean Sutter's cup crinkled. I know who you are. Then you know why I'm here. Dean moved towards the hall. File the form. Did you inspect the wall location? I reviewed the submission. Did you visit Lot 14B? Dean did not turn. File the form. Did the HOA tell you the owners were away? The hallway door closed with a soft sigh. The room went still enough for the baby's ring to squeak. Mara pushed the form closer. 10 business days, Mr. Reed. Outside, sun warmed the courthouse steps, but Alina zipped her coat to her throat. He knew your name, she said. Marcus took a small photo from the folder. Bare soil beside their house, seed packets, Alina smiling. Why are you carrying that? To remember what this is about. You're carrying it like evidence. He folded the form once. Evidence remembers what people edit. Please. Her fingers caught his sleeve. One wall is not worth losing yourself. A bus hissed at the curb. Marcus looked back at the windows where Dean had vanished. It's not one wall anymore. At 11:46 p.m., the street lamp above the north edge of Lot 14B hummed like a tired insect. Marcus sat facing the wall in a folding chair. The stones had cooled to the color of bone. Damp air pressed through his shirt, and grass under his boots smelled of cut stems and wet soil. Alina came out with his old work jacket. You're going to freeze. I'm fine. You said that at the office. Alina placed the jacket over his shoulders. Come inside. Marcus looked at the wall. Your father's sign was right here. I know. I should have pulled the stakes before we left. You should have been on your honeymoon. The lamp buzzed above them. Alina stepped in front of him. This place was supposed to be easy, not perfect, just ours. It is ours. Then why does it feel like I have to ask permission to stand in my yard? Marcus's hand closed around the garden photo in his pocket. I promised you lavender, he said. You promised me mornings. His fingers would not open. He stood too fast, lifted the chair, and set it down. I can fight paper. I'm not asking you not to fight. I can read their tricks. I'm asking you not to disappear into them. He turned toward the garage. There's one more box. Now? My mentor kept plats from before the county digitized. The garage smelled of cardboard and motor oil. Marcus pulled a gray archive box from the top shelf. Dust burst into Alina's flashlight beam and settled across his sleeve. The label read, H.C. Reed, North Corridor. Alina touched the lid. Henry? Henry Caleb Reed. Not family, but close enough. Marcus cut the tape. He taught me land records after my mother died. They carried the box to the kitchen. The broken garden sign lay on a towel by the sink, dry now, split through the word soon. Marcus removed folders, easement notes, and a photograph of a younger Henry in a county vest. In one envelope, a metal tag slid out and rang against the table. Alina picked it up. Briar Glen North Spine. Marcus went still. What is it? Access Reserve Inventory tag, before the HOA existed. He opened the envelope. The paper had yellow edges and blue pencil marks. A narrow strip ran under the future drive lanes, not across one lot, but along the whole north side. Is that ours? Not exactly. Then what? Marcus read the faded clause. Conditional access. Maintenance allowed only if adjoining owner rights aren't obstructed. The wall obstructed us. It buried markers and turned the strip into HOA control. The refrigerator clicked on. Marcus unfolded a second sheet. Henry had written in the margin, "Never let an association mistake use for ownership." Alina touched the handwriting. He knew. He warned the county years ago. About Briar Glen? Marcus looked at the wall beyond the dark window. About whoever forgot they were guests. His phone buzzed. An email from Brock Ellis waited on the screen. Work order attached. Vivian's scanned note appeared at the bottom. Finish while owners are away. Alina covered her mouth, but no sound came out. Marcus placed Henry's note beside the contractor order, then reached for the county form. Outside, the stones threw a black line across the yard, and Marcus saw that line continue beneath the road. At 5:12 a.m., the kitchen table looked less like breakfast than a county archive. Marcus weighted Henry's old plat with a mug, a salt shaker, Alina's seed packet, and the cracked half of the garden sign. Dawn pressed blue light through the blinds. The house smelled of paper dust. Alina stood at the stove without turning it on. "Tell me again." He traced the narrow blue line with his pencil. This strip was reserved before Briar Glen was built. The developer could use it for access if adjoining owners' rights stayed clear. And the HOA inherited the use. Use, not ownership. She looked toward the window, where the wall sat gray beyond the glass. So Vivian blocked a condition. She changed the purpose of the strip. The pencil circled 3 words: North Spine Reserve. Marcus called Renee Dalton at 6:03. She answered on the 5th ring, voice rough with sleep. "If this is about an old stormwater map," she said, "I retired from saving counties from themselves. It's Briar Glen." The line sharpened. "Marcus? I need you to look at a 1998 access reserve. Send it." "I already did." A chair scraped on her end. "You still prepare before you ask." "Only when people build walls." Alina put the phone on speaker. Renee Dalton, 44, former records supervisor with a habit of clicking pens, opened the files. "Okay," Renee said. "I see the reserve. Wait, this is under the north drive lanes. How many?" "Every HOA-controlled spur on that side." Alina gripped the counter. "Every driveway?" "Not private garage slabs," Marcus said. "The shared lanes feeding them." Renee clicked again. Condition A. Access remains revocable if the reserve is converted, obstructed, or used to impair the adjoining lot holder. Marcus, who owns the retained interest? He did not answer. Alina turned from the stove. "Marcus?" "The Reed Land Trust." Renee went quiet. Alina whispered, "Your trust?" "Henry set it up before he died. I manage it." "The HOA doesn't know?" "They never asked." Renee exhaled. Then they didn't just irritate a homeowner, they violated their access condition. At 7:20, Marcus drove to the copy shop near the courthouse. The machine warmed with a plastic smell. He copied the plat, the clause, Brock's order, and Vivian's note. Each page slid out hot. By 8:11, Marcus was home with certified envelopes. Alina had placed the lavender seeds beside Henry's note. "If you send this, they'll know who you are." "Not all of it." He capped the blue pencil. "They only need to know the condition exists." She touched the cracked sign. "And what do I need to know?" He looked at her. Outside, a car rolled slowly past the wall and kept going. "That I didn't want our first month here to be a file box." "It already is." "I'm sorry." Alina slid the seed packet toward him. "Then make sure it becomes a garden again." His phone rang before he could answer. Renee's name lit the screen. "Do not send anything yet," she said. Marcus straightened. "Why?" "I checked the latest road maintenance agreement. They renewed it last year." "And?" "Vivian Pike signed it. Martinvale notarized it." Renee's voice dropped. "Marcus, the first page says the association acknowledges it does not own the reserve. They knew." At 9:02 a.m., Marcus fed the first envelope through the post office slot and waited for the metal bin to ring below. Alina held the rest against her coat. The lobby smelled of stamp glue and wet umbrellas. A red strip of tape clung to her sleeve. "HOA Board," she read. "Brock Ellis, County Compliance, Martinvale." "Same notice." "Not the trust papers?" "Only the condition and the breach." "You're giving them a chance." "I'm giving them a record." By noon, Vivian Pike had hers. Marcus knew because his phone rang while he taped a copy to a stake at the north entrance. "You cannot be serious," Vivian said. "Good afternoon." "You're threatening 34 homes." I'm suspending HOA use of a private reserve until the obstruction is removed. Those words mean nothing to families leaving for work. They meant something when you signed the agreement last year. The line held only breathing. Martin Vale came on. Marcus, stop this before people panic. Then don't create panic. You have no authority to disrupt ingress. West Gate stays open. Emergency access stays open. The north spurs are conditional. Vivian cut back in. You are playing lawyer. No, I'm reading. At 2:15, Denise Carver called from the clubhouse office. Her voice shook under the copier's drone. Mr. Reed, I process minutes. I don't make decisions. I know. Vivian says your notice is defective. Did she show you why? She said it was hostile. That isn't a defect. Denise lowered her voice. The agreement is in our archive. Photograph where it is. There's a red tab on page 1. At 4:40, a contractor parked beside the north lanes. 2 workers unloaded steel bollards, base plates, and laminated notices. Red ribbons snapped from every signpost. A man in a blue sedan rolled down his window. Are we trapped? No, sir. West Gate is open. My daughter has piano. Then take Briar Glen west. That adds 6 minutes. Marcus said nothing. The man looked at the wall and rolled up his window slowly. Tessa appeared near the renter lot. Do they know about Vivian's note? Not from me. Should they? They should know what they signed. A gust slapped a red notice against the gate. Access suspended pending restoration of adjoining property rights. At 5:18, Martin arrived without a tie. Vivian followed in her white SUV. She stepped out with one earring missing. Remove them, she ordered. The older worker checked his clipboard. Ma'am, we have private authorization and a county traffic acknowledgement. I am the association president. Not on my form. Vivian turned to Martin. Say something useful. Martin read the number. Marcus, give us 48 hours. You had 2 weeks. We need to verify. You signed page 1. Vivian's face went flat. That agreement covered maintenance, not theatrics. It covered permission. Do you want neighbors to hate you? Marcus looked at the red ribbon, then toward his yard, where the wall caught the last light. I want my wife's ground back. For once, no one spoke over him. The first bollard rose with a hollow ring. The worker slid the pin through and handed Marcus the lock. Denise's photo of the red-tabbed agreement arrived as the lock closed. The second lock closed at 6:04 a.m., and the north side of Briar Glen woke to brake lights. Marcus stood beside Officer Ortiz's patrol car, dew soaking his cuffs. The bollards did not block porches or garages. They stopped only the shared lanes Vivian treated like her private spine. Vivian arrived with a coat over her robe and one pearl earring missing. Martin Vale came behind her, folder held tight. Officer, make him remove these. Ortiz read the notice. Mrs. Pike, I see county traffic acknowledgement. It does not bless extortion. West Gate is open, Marcus said. Emergency access is marked. That adds 10 minutes, a man called. The wall added this. Marcus unfolded the map across the hood. Cold metal pulled the corners flat. The old blue line ran under 4 shared lanes, then bent toward the wall on Lot 14B. Martin's eyes fixed on the margin. Where did you get that? Recorded archive. Vivian leaned over it. This is ancient. So is ownership, Ortiz said. A camera shutter clicked. A man in a brown field jacket stood near the curb, badge crooked on his pocket. He was 36, with tired eyes and a recorder. Caleb Rowe, Mountain Ledger. Neighbors called about a gated community losing its gates. Vivian lifted her chin. This is private. Caleb looked at the red ribbons. Not from the street. Grace came outside in slippers. Tessa watched from the renter lot, phone in both hands. Ortiz tapped the map. Mr. Reed, explain the wall. Marcus took Brock's work order from the folder. It was built across my side yard while my wife and I were away. It buried marked stakes and changed a conditional reserve into association control. Vivian laughed once. He talks like he owns the language. Marcus placed her handwritten note beside the order. Finish while owners are away. Caleb's recorder rose an inch. Alina came down from the porch with the broken garden sign wrapped in a kitchen towel. The towel smelled faintly of lavender soap. My father carved this, she said. It was not on common land. Vivian looked at the neighbors. No one intended to damage a sentimental item. You didn't ask what it was. The street quieted. Ortiz asked Martin, "Does the association have a court order requiring removal?" Martin's jaw worked. Not this morning. Then I'm not ordering private hardware removed from disputed property. Vivian stared at him. You said he couldn't do this. I said it would be risky, Martin replied. For him. For everyone. Caleb turned to Marcus. Did you shut the lanes to punish them? No? Then why? Marcus smoothed the map where the blue line crossed the hood. Because asking quietly let them build a wall. Vivian's face colored. You're enjoying this. Marcus looked past her. No. Grace stepped off her porch. Vivian, did the board know? Vivian turned. Grace, please. Did you know? Martin closed his folder. The agreement exists. Ortiz handed the pages back. Keep the west gate clear. If routes change, I need notice. It stays clear. Vivian pointed at the ribbons. This is not over. Marcus folded the map along Henry's old crease. The wall is still there. Behind Vivian, the neighbors began looking at the stone barrier, not the locks. The hearing room clock clicked louder than the microphone. Marcus sat with Alina at the left table. Her hand circled the broken garden sign, 2 halves tied with twine. Through the crack, faded letters read, Reed Garden, soon. Vivian Pike kept her shoulders square. Martin Vale sorted papers by size. Denise Carver waited with a blank pad. Lydia Crane entered at 1 p.m., 58, hair at her jaw, glasses on a black cord. This is a restoration conference, she said, not a shouting match. Vivian smiled. Then begin with his overreaction. We begin with evidence. Tessa Bloom stood by the back wall. Grace Holloway held a paper envelope. Marcus asked, May my wife place something on the table? Alina laid the broken sign between the microphones. Wood touched plastic with a hollow tap. Martin leaned forward. That is not boundary evidence. No, Lydia said. It may be damage evidence. She opened a folder. Mr. Vale, the association calls this a technical misunderstanding? Yes. A contractor acted under an aesthetic directive. Any overlap was inadvertent. Grace's envelope crackled. Mrs. Holloway? Grace rose. I took these from my kitchen window. 4 photographs slid across the table. Brock's truck, the red cooler, no cones, no surveyor, workers carrying stone while Marcus's driveway sat empty. Vivian said, Pictures do not establish intent. Grace's voice thinned. One worker said they were doing it because the Reeds were out of town. Martin whispered. Vivian? Tessa stepped forward. I have audio. Vivian's head snapped up. Of what? The hallway after the meeting. You recorded private board discussion? The door was open. Her phone trembled as Vivian's voice filled the room, thinner but clear. He is not the type of resident we planned around. He has a wife with a sad little sign and a folder. That's not counsel. Tessa stopped it. There's more. No need, Vivian said. Lydia lifted one finger. Continue. Tessa pressed play. If he wants paperwork, bury him in it. The words settled like dust nobody wanted to breathe. Denise covered her mouth. Vivian's bracelet struck her watch. Lydia asked, Mr. Vale, did you advise the board about the access reserve before construction? Martin opened his mouth, then closed it. I warned against proceeding without a survey. When? Before the crew began. Vivian whispered, Martin, do you have that warning in writing? Martin removed an email. Yes. Vivian read the first line. Her lips parted, but no words came. Lydia placed Grace's photos, Tessa's transcript, Martin's email, Brock's order, and Vivian's note in one row. Finish while owners are away. Outside, a trash bin rattled like a drum. Lydia folded her hands. Mrs. Pike, you may answer now. Vivian looked at the sign. For the first time, she did not reach for paper, pearl, or title. I thought, she said, then stopped. Marcus said nothing. Lydia turned to Denise. Mark this unresolved pending county review and preservation of all records, Denise wrote, her pen leaving a dark groove. At the doorway, Alina returned for the sign. Lydia covered it with one hand. Leave it there, the mediator said. Some evidence should stay where everyone can see it. At 9:30 a.m., the county review room had no windows, only buzzing lights and a table polished by elbows. A microphone sat in the middle. When Annika Shaw turned the first page, the dry rasp filled the speaker like sand over glass. State your name. Dean Sutter, County Inspector. Annika was 39, composed with a silver streak in her hair. Did you visit Lot 14B before approving the wall? No. Why not? The association filed it as decorative repair. Did you verify ownership? I relied on the applicant. Marcus sat beside Alina. Vivian watched the clock. Brock held his cap. Martin Vale kept one finger on a folder. Annika turned another page. Were you told the homeowners were away? Dean looked at Vivian. Answer aloud. I heard scheduling comments. Vivian leaned forward. This is being inflated. You will have your turn. Brock's chair groaned. I can say what happened. Martin murmured. Be careful. Brock set his cap down. Careful got me here. Mrs. Pike wanted it finished before the Reeds came back. I asked about stakes. She said old markers confused people. Did you see markers? One orange top. My guy tossed it with dirt. Alina's breath caught. The room smelled of wax and stale coffee. Vivian said, That is not what I authorized. Brock pointed at the copied order. You wrote it. Annika slid the page into the center. Finish while owners are away. No one touched it. Martin opened his folder. I warned the board not to proceed without a survey. When? March 18th. Annika read from his email. March 20th. You notarized a renewal acknowledging the HOA did not own the North Reserve. Then, April 6th, you sat through a vote affecting it without placing that renewal in the packet. I did not prepare the packet. You were present. I was. Vivian snapped. He is counsel, not a babysitter. Annika looked at her. No one here needed a babysitter. They needed a survey. A clerk entered with a blue archive file. North Reserve pull. Annika opened it. Her pen stopped. Mr. Reed, you served as County Infrastructure Easement Coordinator? For 7 years. And helped draft the Private Association Access Checklist? In 2019. I helped. Dean stared at him. Vivian's pearls went still. Annika turned one more page. The sound cracked through the speaker. That checklist required staff to flag HOA projects near reserves. Vivian's voice sharpened. He never disclosed who he was. Marcus looked at her, then at the broken sign in Alina's lap. You never asked who I was. You asked whether I belonged. Grace pressed a tissue. Tessa lowered her phone. Annika closed the file. Preliminary finding: staff failure, incomplete association disclosure, and credible evidence construction proceeded despite known boundary uncertainty. Stop work remains. What about the lanes? Martin asked. They remain private until restoration terms are filed. Outside, Dean waited by the fountain. Its motor clicked, then went silent. I should have gone out there, he said. Marcus stopped. Yes. No apology followed. None moved the stones. Vivian reached for Martin's sleeve, but he stepped away. Behind them, the microphone stayed on long enough to catch one final page turn. The signed agreement slid across the clubhouse table at 10:14 a.m. and stopped beside the steel bollard key. Marcus did not touch it. Rain tapped the windows. The room smelled of damp wool and toner. Vivian Pike sat without pearls. Elliot Marsh kept a banker's box by his shoes. Martin Vale watched the tabletop. Lydia Crane capped her pen. Removal, soil restoration, and payment for the damaged marker. Alina held the broken sign. My father's sign. Yes, your father's sign. Vivian folded her hands. We can resolve this privately. Marcus looked at the key. No. Martin raised his head. A private settlement fixes your yard faster. It teaches the next board to hide faster. Vivian's voice thinned. What else do you want? Public correction. Surveys before HOA construction. Open records. A complaint process that doesn't go through the accused. County review on permits. That is excessive. Annika Shaw opened a folder. It is close to my recommendation. Denise entered with copies, thumb gray with toner. Revised protocol. Marcus turned a page toward Alina. First line. Alina read, Briar Glen Association acknowledges that use of private reserves is conditional and not ownership. Grace asked, will residents see that? Website, mailed packet, lobby board, Denise said. Tessa said, and recordings. Available within 5 business days. Vivian pushed back her chair. Then you have my resignation. Nobody gasped. That made it heavier. She buttoned her coat. You could have knocked before humiliating me. Alina answered first. We called the night we came home. Vivian's mouth opened. Nothing came. Elliot lifted the box. Wall records, maintenance, legal invoices. I should have asked harder questions. Yes, Marcus said. Martin slid an envelope to Lydia. State bar warning. I won't serve during transition. By noon, the crew reached Lot 14B. The tarp came down with a wet slap. Stone by stone, the wall lowered into a truck. No one cheered. The air smelled of mud, diesel, and opened earth. Alina stood at the grass edge with cold coffee. Brock Ellis approached with a new stake. Lines reset. Marcus eyed orange paint. Brock swallowed. No work without flags again. Tell the next homeowner before the bid. I will. At 3:40, Lydia returned with the restoration plan signed by the interim board, county, and contractor. Officer Ortiz watched because reopening required a witness. The condition is cured when restoration begins. You may remove the bollards. Marcus set the key beside the pages. Metal touched paper with a soft click. Alina pressed it into his palm. Open it. He shook his head. Together. At the north lane, neighbors stood back. Marcus unlocked the first bollard, and Alina lifted it from its sleeve. The hollow post came free-smelling of rain and iron. Grace carried seed packets under her cardigan. Tessa kept her camera pointed at the ground. When the lane opened, Vivian's empty spot faced the clubhouse like a missing tooth. Marcus locked the key inside Henry's archive box, beside the note that said, "Use is not ownership." Then he looked toward the torn earth where the wall had been, and the first dark line of restored soil waited for something better than stone. By late June, the scar beside Lot 14B had turned green at the edges. Alina knelt in the grass with a hand trowel, pressing lavender seedlings into the soft line where the wall had stood. The air smelled of rain, cut roots, and warm pine mulch. Marcus held the new wooden sign while she checked it against the morning sun. "It leans," she said. "A little. My father would have fixed that." Marcus pushed the stake deeper until the words faced the street. "Reed Garden, here. Not soon. Here." Grace Holloway crossed the road with seed packets. "I brought basil." And too many apologies. Alina wiped soil from her wrist. "Bring basil first." Grace set the packets beside the sign and touched the clean wood once. A week later, the clubhouse bulletin board looked different. No glossy slogans covered the center. Briar Glen posted the county report, the reserve map, the construction checklist, and a complaint form that went to an outside mediator before any board officer could touch it. Denise Carver pinned the last page flat. Open Records portal goes live Friday. Tessa Bloom stood beside her. "And meetings?" "Recorded. Archived. Searchable." Denise looked toward the empty president's chair. "That should have happened years ago." Vivian Pike's name appeared only in the report. Resigned, ineligible for board service for 5 years, and required to reimburse unauthorized legal costs. Elliot Marsh turned over financial records and stepped down after the audit. Martin Vale received a formal warning and withdrew from advising private associations. Dean Sutter completed retraining and lost approval authority on HOA submissions for 1 year. Brock Ellis paid for restoration, adopted a survey before bid rule, and sent Marcus one note. "I should have asked for flags." Marcus folded the note and did not answer it. In August, Tessa's article reached homes beyond Briar Glen. It was not about a wall as much as a hallway, a phone no one wanted to hold, and the cost of staying quiet until damage had a permit number. Letters arrived at the Reed house. Most began the same way. "Something like this happened to us too." Alina kept them in a shoebox. "Do we read all of them?" "Not tonight," Marcus said. He carried Henry Caleb Reed's archive box to the table. The bollard key lay inside, no longer cold from rain, just scratched metal. Marcus placed it beside Henry's note. "Use is not ownership." Alina slid the cracked half of the old sign into the box. "It can stop living by the sink." It earned retirement. Outside, children rode bikes through the reopened North Lane. Their wheels clicked over the repaired seam. No one stopped them. No one waved them away. At sunset, Vivian's former house showed a lockbox on the door. Marcus saw it while taking out the trash and did not pause. Across the street, Grace watered basil. Tessa helped Denise carry binders into the clubhouse, where the first training session for the interim board began. Alina called from the garden. "Marcus, look!" One lavender stem had lifted above the others, thin and stubborn, moving with the evening air. Marcus came to stand beside her. The new sign held straight now. "Home?" she asked. He looked at the open grass, the public report in the clubhouse window, and the old key resting in a box where it could not lock anything. "Getting there," he said. The lavender moved in the warm dark. Have you ever seen a neighbor, board, office, or authority figure misuse power and expect everyone else to stay quiet? Share your story in the comments, especially if one document, one witness, or one calm voice changed everything. If this story reminded you that dignity is not weakness, send it to someone who believes fairness should matter more than status. And subscribe for more stories about justice, quiet resilience, and the kind of systemic change that begins when one person refuses to be erased. Your voice may help someone else recognize that what happened to them was not just a small mistake. Sometimes, speaking up is where restoration begins.